Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of What Have They Done to Our Sport? It's me, Cole Sharf, as always, with Mike Messier. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, Cole. I feel good about this new microphone.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Hopefully, if people bear with us, it might be a little loud. I'll try to keep my anger to a minimum. And constructive criticism is the theme. Tonight, on my end at least, I want to offer constructive criticism because once I knew that we were going to do this after Raw, tonight, Monday, September 3rd, 2018, year of our Lord, I decided to really try to be helpful. And I usually, hate on WWE or I pick them apart. Tonight, I'm going to offer heartfelt, constructive criticism. At least that's my intent. If I go off the deep end, then my apologies in advance.
Well, see, that's good because I'm gonna let them have it like I always do. I mean, there was a couple of good things tonight, but a couple things just laziness and stupidity, and et cetera, et cetera. So let's go ahead and just start with Raw. They opened the show. That was cool. There was some fucking pull aparts. So the whole roster was down there. They were beating the shit out of each other. They take the Shield. The Shield gets arrested, but why? Like Renee Young said on commentary. The other three, Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre, caused more fucking problems on Raw last week than the Shield did tonight, and they didn't get arrested. And why is the Shield the only team getting arrested when all they did was go out to the ring and try to get those three, and the commissioner sent everybody else down and they defended themselves? So to me, that didn't make sense, but I'll leave it at that till we get on to later in the show. It was nice to see a different open, but then they go ahead and fucking shoot it in the foot right away, at least was my opinion.
Well, I'll say this. From the get-go, we got to say that All In, which I think you watched more of it than I have at this point. I will have further All In thoughts on a future episode, but I was kind of doing a test with guys in the Wrestling Fans Facebook group. Sean McKenna is a great guy, and he's had me on his show, the Wrestling Fans Podcast, and I asked the group of wrestling fans, which is a Facebook group, and I think Sean allows anybody to come into it. And I just basically said, hey guys, does this All In, Cody Rhodes, Nick Aldis, all this stuff, Young Bucks, is that having been a great show in most people's opinion, does that affect your looking forward to Raw tonight? Does that make you less likely to watch Raw? Does that make you more likely to watch Raw? Does it not affect? And I think if people go into the Wrestling Fans group, they can see the results of that poll. A lot of people, about 40 guys, wanted to say something. But Cole, did you check out that poll, that informal poll I took?
Yeah, I saw. I read a couple comments about it. I mean, I should have taken the poll, but to me, like a lot of the people that I seen were saying was All In is a pay-per-view. You can't compare it to a TV show, which I agree with. But then at the same time, you can compare it to WWE because that's to a TV show at Raw, SmackDown, because that's what they were competing with. That's what they were trying to take the attention away from. They weren't trying to take it away from a WWE pay-per-view. They were trying to do it that weekend so everybody was still talking about it on Monday during Raw. You know what I mean? So I see both sides.
Well, my thought is that Raw didn't really do anything that would compete against, All In, like nose to nose. Like, for instance, they're always showing people in the audience at NXT tapings, like the new hot independent wrestler, was it Matt Rydell or whatever the fuck?
Yeah.
Whoever it is. So wouldn't this have been a good time, even if they put that very guy, Matt, into the audience of Raw and just showed him on camera, hey, a hot new signee for NXT.
Yep.
Like just something to steal a little bit of heat from the indie-rific people. And WWE didn't seem to even acknowledge Cody Rhodes or his efforts with All In.
Well, I will say that I was surprised that a couple people from WWE tweeted out congratulations to Cody Rhodes and how happy they were with the success of All In and how everybody's talking about All In. Like Dustin Rhodes, obviously his brother. The Rock tweeted something. I'm pretty sure Daniel Bryan tweeted something. And so to me, I was even shocked that people went as far as to do that. That's under contract with WWE. And speaking of The Rock, I don't know if you've heard the speculation, but he's speculated to headline Royal Rumble and WrestleMania this year. So
I have heard that they're speculating Rock versus his cousin Roman Reigns, which I mean, honestly, that could blow up in a negative way. That could be booed out of the arena as well.
Yeah,
because people hate Roman so much, and I don't know if people are necessarily loving on The Rock, when he comes back this time. We'll find out. Getting back to that opening segment of Raw, I took so many notes, Cole, but one thing I kept in mind was that Jinder Mahal kind of led the charge for this run-in, and I could see that there was some enthusiasm on Jinder's part. Like, he seemed to be really into his little breakup thing. I think that guy, Jinder, I don't know his real name, I don't know if that's his real name or not, but he does seem to be a very good employee for WWE, meaning that he puts his all into everything that he's assigned to. Even with this Shanti kind of meditation gimmick, and it's funny because I know a person in real life named Shanti. So whenever Jinder chants Shanti, I think of this model actress I know. But Jinder coming out to the ring like that, it kind of does it demote a wrestler these days when they are put on break apart duty? Or is it just part of the gig?
I feel like anybody that can come out the opening segment of Raw, it's a plus for them. Because, that's where their most viewers are, is the opening segment to see if anything's going to fucking happen. So everybody getting to come out is a good thing for them. Because more people are probably watching that segment than any other segment of the night, depending on the main event, etc., etc. So I would be okay with coming out in the first part of the show no matter what I was doing. But speaking of Jinder, I feel like they've definitely dropped the ball on him. You bring him back, he's the fucking champion, and then all of a sudden now he's nothing, and like you said, he's meditating in the middle of the ring. Same thing with, we'll get into it when it happens again later, but Bobby Lashley. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with that guy, but we'll go step by step. I mean, I'm sure we'll skip some things. And this show, for new listeners, is not normally a Raw review show, but I'm getting ready for, going out of town and shit and getting ready for that. So we decided to just wait till after Raw to add a little bit different aspect to this episode. But with that being said, like I said, the opening segment was good. It was different. It wasn't a promo and then straight to a fucking match. But then after that, what was the next thing that happened on Raw right after that?
Well, bro, I gotta slow it down a little. I gotta take the Harley race and slow down the tempo a little bit tonight because I did detailed notes on this thing.
Let's go.
One thing that I noticed at the end of that brawl, we won't have to go through every headlock and takedown, but if they even do headlocks anymore. Okay, there's a thing. I'm a guy that when people make independent films around here, they go to me as someone who's going to pick apart their film before they make the final cut. Like, I'm a fixer. I'm like the wolf in Pulp Fiction. Like, if someone makes a movie, they make a rough cut, or they're writing an article, I'm the guy that they go to as someone to proofread the work, to dot the I's, to cross the T's, so to speak. So, what I saw at the end of that fight segment, when the Shield and the break apart and everything, there was something that I noticed that I don't know if many people, even the attuned Brian Alvarez or the attuned Dave Meltzer, or even our friends. And congratulations to our friend Vince Russo. He's a grandfather today. So we want to dedicate this show on Vince Russo Day to Vince Russo, his family.
Yep.
They have a new addition to the family. Congratulations. So in 20 years, this young lady will have to go toe-to-toe with all of those McMahon brats and defend pro wrestling for us. So the future is in good shape with the young Miss Russo in town.
Yep.
But anyway, Roman Reigns, when he went to the back after that fight, Roman Reigns... I noticed that Seth Rollins was the first to lead the charge, okay? So it was interesting to me that Seth Rollins was the one that took the lead. And I first thought that was Roman because it would make sense that Roman's always the guy leading the Shield, right?
Yep.
But it wasn't. It was Seth. And then behind him was Dean. And pulling up the rear was Roman. Now, guess what Roman did that I didn't like?
What's up?
As he got to the back, he slowed down his pace. Now, people might remember Ahmed Johnson chasing Goldust at SummerSlam 96, I believe, or a Raw back in 96 going into SummerSlam in their Intercontinental title feud. And me and my friends caught this, that when certain wrestlers come to the, like when they're getting off camera or when they think they're getting off camera, your fingernails are fine, buddy, that Ahmed slowed his pace when he got to the back, like the gorilla position or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And I noticed that Roman pulled that. And this is where the constructive criticism comes in. I caught some very attuned flaws tonight in the production of Raw. This Raw show that's been going on for over 25 years now, and people always, well, the WWE always gives themselves a big pat on the back every night about how great their show is. Well, the ratings are going down. I found several technical flaws tonight, folks. And it's beyond the quality of the matches or the heat or anything like that. It's like literal production value, production quality, laziness, sloppiness, and that's the refrain for tonight is constructive criticism. So Roman did the slowdown. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like when wrestlers are chasing each other, and the guy in the back slows to because he's trying to not fall and slip. That's what Roman did.
Yep. I'm glad you pay attention to little things like that, but I didn't see what you're saying, see what you're talking about, but I know what you're talking about. Like I've seen it before, I just didn't see it tonight. I was just like I said, I'll say it again, I was just happy to see a different fucking opening to the show. Something different, but last week the Shield was nowhere to be found, so they bring the Shield back together for 1 week, then last week they're not even together in one segment of the whole show, and then this week they come out from the stairs again like it's, nothing. I did notice Seth Rollins like twirl his finger around when he was telling the guys to get around the ring, before the guys came out a second time. And that normally is Roman Reigns calling the shots and leading the way. So that was interesting, and I wonder why they did that. And, maybe it's just laziness, but there's more things, like you said, the production shit. I noticed one thing with production tonight. They kept showing Shawn Michaels' picture, but they were showing him with long hair, and Shawn Michaels has had short hair for about a year and a half now. So is that just laziness? They couldn't have had Shawn Michaels take another picture and change it? Or what? I mean, because a fan that knows Shawn Michaels knows that's the old Shawn Michaels compared to the guy that came out to the ring. You know what I mean? Like, why would you purposely do that and not change the picture? Do they think it doesn't matter anymore? Because back in the day, that shit would have never happened. You know what I mean? They would have made sure that shit was the picture of what he looked like.
Very good. More constructive criticism. I got one for you. On my DVD-R, so if people actually recorded this thing and they want to look back at it, they can find it. When we came back from commercial and they're putting, we sound like marks that are going to be castrated by Vince Russo and Jeff Lane because I'm going to pick this thing apart like a motherfucker. But at the 1750 mark, when the security guys were putting the Shield into the police carrier, which actually looked more like an ambulance to me.
Yep.
And they had all the wrestlers were just yelling at each other. Like here's I think Bobby Lashley was there and other guys, and they're just kind of screaming at each other for no reason. Why are these guys yelling at each other? Well, there's obvious, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But there was police involvement, and if you looked at the left side, there was a police officer who was just out and out laughing. He was just out and out laughing at the 1750 mark on the left side of the screen. And I rewound it a few times because I'm like, man, if that motherfucker was on a movie set that I was directing, if he was an extra who's getting paid, $300 or $400 a day, or that would be my budget, but on WWE, they're probably paying this guy $300 or $400 or something. And that motherfucker's laughing on camera in the middle of a serious storyline.
Yeah.
He would never work for me again.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's what you call hack. It's I know that this guy's a fucking extra, and I know that they just picked him up at the last minute, but whoever this dude is, he just had a giggle and a shit. And someone in charge of these extras or these local talents or these local hires, they have to be a little bit better about, just telling your people. When you direct a film or when you produce a film, you have to tell every single human being, it's the human factor. You can't take it for granted that the people playing security officers aren't going to laugh and break character. So I just thought that was horrible.
Yeah, well, let's just go ahead and go through the whole Shield segment. I didn't watch the last 10 minutes of the show, so I don't know what happened, but I saw a picture. The Shield comes back, right?
Yeah, basically.
Let's not go all the way there. I just wanted to make sure before I say this. But they showed later on that, the Shield got arraigned by a judge and they were charged with this, this, and this. First of all, everybody in the fucking world knows there's no judge there to arraign anybody at 9 fucking p.m. at a jail. You know what I mean? And in the charges they got fucking charged with incinerating a riot, whatever. What did they do to start a riot? They went outside to defend themselves about people that were talking shit about them, and then the GM sent more people out there and they protected themselves. So how did they do anything against the law? Just like that's just pure laziness, right? Like just pure fucking laziness. Come up with a better story than that they were arraigned at 9 p.m. on a fucking holiday. For one, I didn't even think about that until just now. It's a holiday. There ain't no judge arraigning anybody on a holiday, let alone at 9 p.m. at night.
Well, it's a good point. And I don't know if the Twitch, if you have a computer up with the Twitch,
yep.
Hopefully somebody's watching this. I did promote this show, and if people are on Twitch, I don't know if they can chime in with comments, Cole.
Yeah, actually,
want to harass us or say anything?
I just pulled it up. Now we got a few viewers here. We just keep it going. You know what I mean? Like we got a couple live viewers.
Our good viewers, hey, whoever's watching, it says picture is crooked, unless that's an old fucking thing. I don't know. But tell the good people in there that Mike and Cole invite you to share this thing. Say, hey, if you're a wrestling fan, if you're an insomniac, if you're
they can hear you.
Detained. If you're being detained by the housing authority or by the border, please watch our show. But share this link, share the love with all your wrestling fan friends, Twitter, Facebook, wherever the fuck.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so moving forth. Okay, this woman's match. I mean, I think this is going to be Botch Mania special, folks. Brie, I mean, I hate to laugh, but first of all, no offense to the Bellas, but the fact that they've been gone for 3 years and this is their first tag team match, blah, blah, blah. Kudos to Brie Bella if those poorly executed planches were supposed to have her fall on her face and get hurt, because she was doing a good job of not doing her planches properly. And it looked like she had 2 botched planches in one match, which might be an all-time record.
Here's my thing. She's got a kid at home. Her husband's got fucking concussion problems. Her sister's got neck problems. Why the fuck are you even doing that spot? You know what I mean? And then Corey Graves is like, oh, she didn't get all of that one. No, he shouldn't have said nothing and just left it alone, because that just brought more attention to it. She didn't get none of it. Not that she didn't get all of it. She didn't get none of it. And she landed right on her face. That had to fucking hurt, dude. And she did a good job of, continuing and doing what she had to do, but that... She didn't catch. I rewound it twice. I didn't see her catch her foot on the rope, so I don't think she just dove far enough or what. But I didn't, because normally when they have that botch, their foot gets caught on their back foot gets caught on the rope. But when I seen it, I didn't see her foot get caught on the rope, so I don't even know how she fucking did it. And then that one girl did a horrible job. I can't remember her name. That's how big their stars are nowadays. But she fell down like 4 seconds after Brie hit the floor, like she took her out at the ankle. At that point in time, if Brie botches it, you should be professional enough to know, like, okay, she fucked up. I'm going to stomp on her a couple times real quick and then continue on with the match. Don't let Brie sit there for 3 seconds and then just flop backwards like she fucking took you out. It just killed the whole fucking thing.
It's Liv Morgan and the other lady, and you know what? I kind of am fans of those two, to be honest with you. I'll say this, everybody. On a positive note, in WWE, the Riot Squad has grown on me. I see them as pesky little female freebirds, and that's probably the highest compliment anyone's going to give those three. I do like the Riot Squad. I do like the fact that you have 3 girls with distinctive looks. Ruby Riot with her tattoos and her hair and her outfits. She's kind of the, Generation Y or millennial tatted up wrestler. Liv Morgan is the beautiful blonde who's kind of the tank girl who hangs out with these other two. Like she's the girl that's been corrupted. And I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the other lady's name, who's kind of my favorite, to be honest with you. The girl with the brown hair. I had written down her name, but I think she's very attractive, and I think, and maybe that's Meltzer-esque or whatever the fuck to comment on a female in wrestling. I'm sorry, but I think she's very attractive. I like the fact that she looks like a person who is someone you might see around your neighborhood, meaning that she's not a rail thin. She's in good shape, but she looks like a soccer player. She looks like an athlete. She doesn't look like like Maurice in 2004 or something, where she's just Playboy type of woman. She looks like a real sexy woman who's also a badass, and I think that she's great. Of course, I can't remember her name, so screw me for that. But I kind of do like the Riot Squad. I do enjoy them. I'll admit.
Yeah, I don't mind them. I just don't. You know what I mean? Like back in so I was watching Twitch. I was watching Vince Russo on Twitch for his Raw. He always watches throughout Raw and talks to us and shit. And one of the brand members said something like, when I know I'm jumping ahead all over the place, but when Taker and HBK delivered that promo, I said it's the best promo they've had on Raw in years. You know, it's the last time I've been able to sit there and watch something from start to finish. Because when they played the gong, I was like, there ain't no way he's coming out. And then they played it again, and then he came out. I thought it was, you know, someone fucking around. They were just making fun of him, but it was actually him. So then I was sucked in even more. But someone made this point like, so what, in 10 and 20 years, they're going to bring out Kevin Owens and Finn Balor to fucking do the same spot? And who the fuck's going to give a shit? And that's my point exactly. Like, you got your most enjoyable segment you've had in a couple years, not just to me, but to other people. I'm sure other people don't feel that way. I'm not saying everybody does, but it's from a retired in-ring athlete into a semi-retired in-ring professional. What does that say? The whole crowd was quiet all fucking night until that segment. You got some noise. So what does that tell you? And another thing somebody else said, I don't want people think I'm taking credit for shit other people say, but I'm going to use it if I agree with it. You know what I mean? You can feel the passion. You can feel the passion in their voices when they cut that promo. You could see the facial expressions they made. No, they weren't all just smiling with the fucking mic. You know, oh yeah, this is what, let's read it word for word for word. Because I can guarantee you they're not scripting their shit. You know what I mean? And that's a huge difference, and you can feel it right away. And the one thing that's always stood out to me that I think it's a small, stupid thing other people think, but is the microphone Undertaker uses. I like the fact that he uses a different microphone, the way he holds it different than everybody else, all up close to his face, the very top of the mic like he's grabbing the microphone part. To me, that adds a different aspect that nobody else gets to do. So.
I like your points. I sure do. And let me just say this. I would say that problem that you just described, Cole, so well, I would blame that more on whoever's running WWE now. I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure it's Vince McMahon, because I mean, I'm not trying to cast aspersions or anything on Vince, but there has been tricklings of rumors that Vince is getting a little bit older, and I'm not trying to say anything, I'm not trying to cause a fucking rumor. I've just seen that other places, so I don't know if it's Vince, Triple H, or maybe Vince is running things and he shouldn't be, or maybe it's like a class that's trying to run without a teacher. I don't really know the situation, but my point is, I would say that the wrestlers having to follow those poorly written scripts all the time, tonight in this ring, blah blah blah.
Yep.
That's more on producers and writers.
Oh, for sure,
and
for sure.
Management. That's not. If the Finn Balor's and the Kevin Owens of the world are following these poorly written scripts and not being given the chance like Shawn and Undertaker to have more leeway, I wouldn't hold that against Kevin and Finn unless you're expecting them to leave the company when their contracts run out and go to wrestle for the Indies or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the difference. Like, if someone came up to the Undertaker with a shitty-ass script, he's like, I'm not going to fucking say that. I'm going to go out there and say my thing. So those guys, as being professionals, should be like Vince Russo always says, let's make this better. Let's fix it. Let's change this. Let's change that, instead of just accepting a piece of paper that they know is shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason Bobby Lashley should be out there fucking sitting on his goddamn crisscross applesauce meditating with Jinder Mahal. Like, that is what the dude's a fucking legit monster. You have a legit guy who's got MMA experience, who's fucking a beast, huge as fuck, compete with anybody physically as a shoot on that roster, and you got him out here playing patty cake games. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Constructive criticism and a suggestion that I tweeted out, and like you said, someone else probably tweeted this out at some point, but I hadn't seen it. Why not put Bobby Lashley with Paul Heyman as a mic piece?
Why not?
I mean, Paul Heyman was fantastic. As much as issues as I have with Paul Heyman as a person, Paul Heyman did the job for Brock Lesnar as a mouthpiece for several years. Brock's not going to be around for at least 6 months, if ever. So why not take that mouthpiece of Paul Heyman that people really enjoy and put him with a guy who is not clicking on the microphone for WWE standards, and that's Bobby Lashley. He's not really over as a babyface. I did have some notes on him. I'll follow your lead, and we'll just jump around instead of going through the whole show bit by bit, because Bobby Lashley's T-shirt tonight that I saw, and I really try to watch Raw tonight very carefully and pick out things, but his slogan is back to conquer, or back to it says back to do something. It's like I'm back.
It should say back to fucking be buried is what it should say.
Well, that's good, but that would be breaking the fourth wall too much. But it says back to conquer, and honestly, back to dominate is what it says. I took notes. I wrote there. Look, folks, breaking the fourth wall of the fucking show. I wrote these goddamn notes.
Nice.
I said Shawn Michaels has dry throat. So Shawn Michaels to me is like I tweeted out that Shawn Michaels should have Mike Messier be his acting coach because Shawn, as the interview with the Undertaker picked up greatly when Undertaker came out with Shawn. Before that, I thought Shawn was sucking a bag of dicks. To be honest with you, he just was tongue-tied. He was stumble fucking. He was talking in circles. He was kind of begging for a crowd reaction and so forth. But going back to Bobby Lashley, back to dominate, I think what that says is it calls attention to the fact that he was gone for 10 years. And I'll be honest, I don't know if a lot of fans who watched the Trump, Bobby Lashley, Vince McMahon, Umaga, who's now passed away, I mean, all those guys in that scenario 10 or 12 years ago, I don't know if that same audience is there so much, or if they did, Bobby didn't really win the fans over back then. You know what I mean? 2005, 2006, it wasn't like when Bobby Lashley left, anybody gave a shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's a tremendous athlete, but he needs a mouthpiece. And if they're not going to hire Mike Messier or Cole Sharf, bring in fucking Paul Heyman, that old chestnut. You know what I mean?
Well, I heard there was speculation that Paul Heyman was going to be Kevin Owens' guy, and I'm just like, come on, man.
But he doesn't need it.
No.
So that's the thing with a mouthpiece. Like, Michael Hayes was the mouthpiece for the Freebirds. You didn't need to add Captain Lou Albano or Paul Ellering to the Freebirds because you had Michael Hayes. And that's going back old school. There are exceptions. I mean, the Four Horsemen had J.J. Dillon, and they could all speak. But that was a very unique thing. With Bobby Lashley, you have a guy who's a tremendous athlete. He can actually wrestle a really good WWE-style match, as evidenced by those Roman Reigns matches. But once again, we're kind of beating a dead horse. But let's move on.
Speaking of manager, hold on. You see, this is why we're all over the place, because you give me perfect segues. Speaking of managers, the Arthurs of Pain have a new manager out of nowhere. No explanation. No, not why they got connected. And it's the fucking manager, the general manager of 205 Live. Okay, so now he's a general manager and a manager at Arthurs of Pain. Second thing, Arthurs of Pain are like Shield Light. They got the exact same wardrobe as Shield. Black vest, black pants. Fucking wrist taped, we're badasses, blah blah blah. Why is there no explanation on why they got this new manager? What was wrong with the old manager they had? They had a different manager, they got rid of him. The guy you just mentioned. Now they bring in this guy. Yeah, now they bring in this guy for what? And then they don't explain it, they don't talk about it. It makes no fucking sense. It's lazy. Constructive, because I say that constructively. I'll say that constructively.
Okay, I'll fill in a little bit. From what I understand, it was Precious Paul Ellering that was with the Authors of Pain in NXT, which is a much lighter schedule. Paul Ellering, who's probably 60, 65 years old by now, he probably didn't want to be full-time on the road for WWE with the Authors of Pain. And he probably was very comfortable doing 1 week of work, 1 night a week, a work week, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And for NXT, and probably getting a very minimum wage and just an appearance fee. And this is where the technical considerations come. And Paul Ellering's not a guy, like a lot of older wrestlers, and this is not an insult, that need to work as much as they fucking possibly have to. Paul Ellering actually is a very smart guy who's invested his money well from the Road Warriors. And so his deal was just to help get the Authors of Pain over, kind of pass that baton, the legacy of the Legion of Doom to these new guys. Now, the thing with... I just remember him from his old fucking name. The manager, what's his name again? Drake?
Something, yeah. That's what I mean. Another star that's gonna blow the ratings off the roof. We don't even know their fucking name, but okay, yeah, that one guy, Spud Webb.
Well, the short manager guy that used to be on TNA.
He looks half. He comes up to their waist. But go ahead.
Well, I think the point with him is, if you're asking why is he suddenly there on Raw with these guys. It's because I think they gave him a trial period on 205 Live. They liked his... I haven't been watching 205 Live, but they must have liked what he's been doing as a general manager. And they said, hey, this guy's a guy that we can work with. He's got a presence. He's easy to work with. And let's make some more use out of this guy. So they're going to double duty him. I wouldn't expect him to leave 205 Live. I just think that He's a hand. He's an employee. Let's make something of him. They feel that the authors are paying either, gimmick-wise or not, they can't speak for themselves, meaning they want a mic guy for them, and this guy's available, and that's it. I don't think it's that complicated. I also don't think it's going to terribly be successful, but it's just something they're throwing. What they do is they throw spaghetti at the refrigerator to see what sticks.
And I get that, but you got to have some sort of explanation on why you're pairing this guy with this guy instead of, oh, we drew his name out of a fucking hat. We're going to try it for a couple weeks, hope it works. There's got to be some sort of backstory. I mean, I guess not, because there hasn't been backstory for anything in WWE in the last 10 fucking years. But that's the way it should be. That's why it's like, well, it doesn't even make no fucking sense. But, yeah, I mean, they got over on a squash match. They dominated those two local guys, and it is what it is. But now it's like, are they going to be off TV for 3 weeks? Or what? And then to jump back, like I said, we're going to jump back again. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre giving themselves a title shot. And then how predictable was this, right? They're like, Drew McIntyre's last words are, well, what if they can't compete in a match? And then 2 seconds later, we go to an interview with the Revival. What do you think's going to happen? My girlfriend even said it before. She don't even watch wrestling. She's like, they're going to get attacked, And so, bam, 2 seconds later, they get attacked. Oh, then the match is up. They play their music twice. They play their music once. Somebody comes out. Everybody in the arena saw the backstage assault. Everybody at home saw the backstage assault. JoJo sits out where the crowd can see the fucking arena, you know what I mean? See the Tron, the rest, So why are they even playing their fucking music? Why not say, well, we might not be having a tag team title match because obviously the Revival just got their asses kicked, and then Dolph Ziggler comes out. You know what I mean? Like, why do they act like we're so fucking stupid?
Well, if I can... I want to put an intervention into the show right now, Cole, because we have to be above this. And what I'm going to say is I know that I've watched podcasts of wrestling where they break down Raw or SmackDown. They go through every analysis. I've listened to people that we both like, people that we don't both like,
Yep. Oh, you still there?
Everybody deconstructs stuff these days, you know what I mean? But what I want to say is this, and this is a big point. For anyone that's watching this, as wrestling fans, we have to kind of think that what they're providing on the show, who do they really want to watch this stuff? Now, we know the ratings are going down. Are the ratings going down because they're so stupid, meaning the WWE writers or production, or maybe there's stuff with Vince that we don't know about, that they don't really have a captain to this ship right now? Or are they purposely dumbing down the product, so to speak, homogenizing the product in order to get it to a younger fan base, because they don't care about guys in their 40s, 30s, 20s, 50s anymore. They've kind of given up on us or given up on those type of fans, and they really are playing to the lowest common denominator. And I'm not saying that these people are stupid. I'm just saying that what WWE thinks. And a friend of mine, Moro, has gone to WWE live shows, and he says he goes there and it's mostly families with little kids. It's not guys, it's not dudes anymore. Dudes are going to Ring of Honor. Dudes are going to Cody Rhodes stuff. Dudes are going to Impact or indie stuff. New Japan, when they come to Los Angeles or Madison Square Garden. The WWE, they're trying to harvest this young crop of children. And if they have to appeal to their moms or their older sisters with more women's wrestlers or whatever, but here's the thing. Are they even thinking that much, or are they not even thinking that much at all?
So we had a comment on Twitch from Disco Damon. He said all backstage activity falls under the category if the ref didn't see it, it didn't happen. And okay, I agree with it, and that's fine, but it just doesn't make sense, like everybody in that arena saw it. So it's like why even go through that? And I get what you're saying too, Mike. Hey, thanks for interacting with us. The more interaction, the better. That's what we're trying to do, is get this more interactive, so I really appreciate it. Put the word out for us, man. I really, really appreciate it. But
like our new friend there, thank you.
And I agree with what you're saying, Mike, but at the same time, that's fine. You can still appeal to that fan base, and only that fan base. But even, my cousin watches this stuff, and he's 10, 11, right. And he even says, dude, it makes no sense. So it's not even appealing to that fan base. What, are they trying to get 5-year-olds? That's fine, but you're not going to keep a 5-year-old's attention for 3 hours no matter what you put on TV. So it's like, if you're trying to get to that fan base, which makes sense because, like they said earlier, if you have a kid, you need at least 2 tickets because the parents got to go with him. So you sold at least 2 tickets for one kid. Great plan. But like I said, right when Drew McIntyre was like, oh, if they get beat up, they can't be in the match, right? And then blah, blah, blah. And then 2 seconds later, they do an interview, backstage interview. Of course, they're getting beat up. Then they play their music. It's like, why not spread that out? Okay, after McIntyre said that, do a match, do another segment, and then have the Revival be interviewed. Not a split second later. So that at least spreads it out a little bit. You're thinking about this over here, then have the Revival talk and get their ass kicked real quick. And then you can see it coming, but it's not so back-to-back. And then acknowledge that they got their ass kicked backstage and say the match has been canceled, blah, blah, blah. I could get the B team not knowing about it because they were in their locker room getting ready. So then they have them come out. They're shocked at, like, what do you mean the match is canceled? And then Dolph Ziggler's music comes out, and then that happens. It's not that hard, you know what I mean? I'm not a writer, I'm not a TV writer, I'm not a wrestling writer, but it's not that hard to come up with something that simple.
Well, to me, the show, and like I said, I'm trying to be nice, I'm trying to be constructive. You know who I think is a hot ticket for this show, Cole? Someone who I think, a hot ticket is a New England term for someone that's pretty good. You ready?
Yep.
Charlie, the female Charlie. I prefer her so much more to Renee Young. It's unbelievable. I'm talking about the brunette behind the stage, behind the scenes interviewer.
Yep.
And I'll say why I like her. I think she has better facial expressions. On a surface level, I think she's more attractive. Sorry, I just do. And I just think she's less whiny, and her sentences are sentences. They're not questions like Renee's.
Hey, but see, this is where we're gonna have to disagree because I got a soft spot for Renee. She's probably my favorite one on the whole show. I don't know why or what, but I love Renee Young. Go ahead though. Sorry.
A lot of people do. I just don't. I mean, I have a YouTube video. You might have seen it, the Renee Young problem. And my basic issue with Renee is that she seems like someone that could be your girlfriend. Are you still there, buddy?
Yep.
She seems like someone that could be your college sweetheart who helps you with your math homework. She has a very calming presence. This is Renee Young I'm talking about. She doesn't have like a mean Gene Okerlund or she's just very calming. And I did like what she did, and I even suggested this in the Renee Young problem video I did a year ago. I liked when she did the thing with Paul Heyman where she had that interview. I thought that Renee Young as an investigative journalist with like undercover, like one interview a week where she digs deep and is like the Barbara Walters of the WWE. That's where I would like to have Renee Young on television. I think Charlie's just better. I just think she's more interesting looking. I think she's saucier. I think she's got a better voice, and she, like I said, like that's something that with actors especially, actors who ask questions where they're really making statements really annoy me, and that's what I think Renee Young does. And that's when you told me that we're going to do the show tonight after Raw, my heart sunk a little bit. It's like, oh, now I got to fucking watch Raw. And then the second death I had tonight, Cole, was when I had Raw on and I was doddering around my apartment, and I heard them say that, you know, that Coach wasn't going to be there and Renee was going to be there instead. Then I died a second death. So, no offense. I know you're a Renee Young fan, Cole.
I think she does good on commentary. I just think she needs to talk more. She goes long periods of time without making any noise, and I don't think you should do that as a commentator, especially when you got guys like Michael Cole. So stale. They need to get him off the fucking commentator table, man. I'm sorry, that dude is just so stale and same thing every single week. I don't hate Corey Graves as much as other people do. Like, some of the shit he says is stupid, but he's different. He's a different type of commentator. I like Corey Graves. Okay, maybe not like him, so maybe not the right word, but I can stand him. I can deal with him. I think he does an okay job. I listen to the things he says, but Michael Cole, when he's talking, I'm just like, oh, come on, quit talking. Just get him off of there. Because like I said, commentating is so important to how successful a wrestling show is. You know what I mean? Because if the people that are talking aren't very good at fucking talking, then you're not going to be invested in it. I probably shouldn't bring it up, but Rocky Mountain Pro, they have this Connor kid who do the commentary for him, and I was more in tune, like, and excited to hear what the fuck he was gonna say than what was going on. That's how good he was, and that's how interesting it was, and that's just a small promotion. So why can't the WWE figure that out? Like, I don't know. I'm just lost, man.
Well, let me say this. Going back, and maybe our Twitch follower there, the guy that's watching, if anyone else was watching, please share this link. But if you can tell us if our audio sounds good to the viewers, because it's hard for us to monitor our own audio while we're doing our show. So if our Twitch watcher there could do us a favor and just let us know if the audio sounds good, if we need any adjustments.
Yeah, we got a solid, consistent viewing, higher than we've ever had. So that's good. I'm excited about that.
Well, I want to send a shout out to This Ain't Wrestling, Pro Wrestling and MMA Discussions, all these Facebook groups that tolerate me and my incessant videos. Thanks, guys, for watching. And also, today was a very special, important day for me, Cole, because I released the Vince Russo interview that you saw back May 1st of 2018. Jeff Lane and Vince Russo gave me consent to release the video, so now it's on YouTube on the Mike Messier channel. That's a 1-hour interview with Vince Russo, a side of Vince Russo most people would never even consider. And I dare say that even a guy like Jim Cornette or Dave Meltzer would appreciate what Vince Russo had to say about the serious topic of the over-medication of America and the world, quite frankly. It's not just an American problem. And we're not talking about opioids. We're not talking about street drugs. We're talking about pharmaceutical medications. So that video, that 1-hour video, if Vince Russo pissed you off and put the championship on himself, or David Arquette, or didn't have Sting win against Vampiro at Halloween Havoc 98, or whatever the fuck, I'm telling you people, you gotta watch this video with me and Vince Russo, because it's more mind-blowing stuff. There's people everywhere that have relatives on mental health medication or other types of medication that may not need to be on it. Maybe they do, but maybe they don't. And it's really up to each and every individual, Cole, to investigate their own lives and their own health for themselves. That's my story. It's a very important story. I believe you watched that video. That's how we started doing this show.
Yeah, that's where I found you.
Check that shit out.
Yep. Mike,
it's on MikeMessier.com as well. Go ahead, buddy.
Disco Damon said, Mike, your volume could be stronger. Just adjust that, and then otherwise everything sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Disco Damon. Let me see if I can... Disco Damon, if you are still with us. Get the now, Disco Damon, did that do anything, buddy? See what Disco Damon says now. Disco Damon, let me know.
Yep, and
what happened?
This is a perfect time for me to go ahead and thank our sponsor, O'Hara Exteriors. He does siding, windows, gutters, and roofing. 402-213-3289. Give him a call for any of your needs. He is the best around here. Every rave reviews tell him you heard about him from What Have They Done to Our Sport, and I'm sure he'll hook you up a little bit. So go ahead. Thank you again, O'Hara Exteriors, for sponsoring us. And anybody else out there want to sponsor us, we are always available for that, so I appreciate it. Go
Disco
ahead.
Damon, what do you think now, buddy? Any help? Any luck, Disco Damon? What's Disco Damon saying now?
He hasn't responded yet, but I'm sure he will here in a second.
Man, Disco Damon's our no producer on this fucking show.
No, he I think. I mean, he said.
Throw me a bone.
I think he said he could hear you. It's a little bit. He said it could be a little bit stronger. Not like nothing like they can't hear you. So it's all good that way. So.
Well, for crying out loud. All right. Well, it's a work in progress, folks.
Yep.
Now, Disco Damon, if he's back or someone else wants to chime in. I mean, I like this headset, but it's gonna fucking work.
Well, and it sounds really good, but I think it's like I was telling you when we did that test run, that it's like it records it and fucking quieter than you actually really are, because the audio version is gonna be the best audio version we've put out. So maybe I don't know. There's got to be a setting in your phone, or I don't know. We'll have to figure it out after this episode. I don't want to try and do too much and lose connection right in the middle of this episode, though.
Good point. Okay, moving forth. Renee Young just annoyed the shit out of me tonight. I mean, there was a part where, like, she said something like, "Let's party, I'm ready." Okay, here's the thing, guys. And look, this is not me pulling us accused Vince Russo of putting people down. Was it me, or was there some type of Bobby Roode, Chad Gable? Were they trying to do a Billy and Chuck with those guys, or was that just me jumping to conclusions?
Well, I think that they're building it up, that they're going to be all over best friendy and all over each other and blah, 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 and then they're going to turn on him. Then Bobby Roode's going to turn on Chad Gable, and that's going to be the heel turn we've been waiting for with Bobby Roode. Zapman said we both sound good. Thank you for the feedback, guys. I really appreciate it. This makes us a lot more funner. A lot more fun. That's a great word, funner. If you guys,
if it's funner, it's funner.
If you have any questions or anything else you guys want to talk about, let us know and we'll talk about it. So again, I appreciate the feedback, guys. I really do. But yeah, I think
Cole, you kind of blew off my question there, buddy. You didn't think that there was some type of vague homoerotica between this new? They really built up these thing that these guys found each other, like they were on a dating website, like they swiped right for each other, like, oh my God, you're a mid-card maniac. I'm a lower mid-card tag team maniac, and now we swipe right. And they're just so aggressive with their hugs, and like Bobby Roode kind of beaming in adulation of Chad Gable's suplexes. I found it to be a vague notion towards Billy and Chucky from like the 2004 era.
And I could see that, but like I said, I think they're just trying to make it seem like they're trying to push it over the edge that, you know, they're best friends now and they love each other, just so that way when Bobby flips on him in a couple weeks or whenever it happens, it's more you know, a harder punch, I guess. But I feel like this is the lead to them turning Bobby Roode heel, which is 4 months too late if you ask me.
Dude, I was so bored with this show that when Elias was making fun of the people in Ohio and making fun of their mascot, and he said something about the Wolverine mascot, I kind of popped thinking, oh my God, they're mentioning Chris Benoit because they mentioned a Wolverine. And I said, holy shit, he just got away with a Chris Benoit reference. And then I realized nobody's thinking about this shit as much as I am. Like, I'm the only one who's thinking, and I'm just watching it on television. I was grasping for straws to be entertained on this fucking show.
This is why our shows, I have so much fun doing our show, because you fucking set me up with perfect segues every time. I was just getting ready to bring up Elias, man. Why does he keep getting interrupted by females? I don't understand. There's so much more that this guy can fucking do. I get they're trying to get his album over, and I understand that. But the way you do that, you let him play a song. You don't interrupt him the minute he strums his guitar. But the one thing I will say about that segment that really got me excited, if they put Alexa Bliss and Elias together, that could be a fucking pretty cool duo if they did it right. Which the WWE, so I doubt they would. But I think that would be a pretty cool duo if they put Alexa Bliss and Elias together.
She's a good duo with anybody, let's face facts. Yeah. I mean, they had her with Braun Strowman, and that was pretty cool.
But I think it would push Elias to the level that he deserves to be at, and the level that he could be at easily if you put them two together and let them be heels together. I don't like how Alexa comes down and does the same things, acts like a baby face, and then 2 seconds later she's fucking bagging on everybody. You know what I mean? It's so rude.
No, but yeah,
it's the same thing. But go ahead.
I thought that little trio there, and I mean, honestly, I wrote down some notes like, I said it's nice for them to give Foxy and Mickey James jobs. Like, it's nice of the company to even hire them and give them money because they don't really do anything. Like, they're really not. No offense, Mickey James is a great wrestler. I think Foxy could have been a champion. Alicia Fox, I think she's great. I think she's beautiful. The best stomach in pro wrestling, Alicia Fox. I think that they are both greatly talented, but for them to just stand and be like Alexa's, backup or her bridesmaid, it's really like they're really not contributing a whole lot. And I'm just like, I guess they just like them to give them money to show up. You know what I mean?
Zapman just said, after the Shawn Michaels Undertaker in-ring, I shut Raw off because they told me what the main event was. I mean, that's pretty much when I stopped watching. After the Raw and SmackDown thing was, I went over to the game on ESPN and fucking flipped back and forth here and there, but then shut it off at the main event. Yeah, I mean, why would you watch when you know what the main event is? You knew the Shield was coming back at some point in time because they said that they got arraigned by a judge on a holiday at 9 p.m. at night. So you knew they were out of jail and you knew they were coming back. And so, like I said, I figured they were going to come back in the main event, especially when they switch it to Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor. So
I did find that, the pet cat Natty, Alexa called Natty Neidhart Ronda Rousey's pet cat, which Corey Graves made note of, and I do find that to be interesting. It does seem like they're planting seeds, but they have been for a while, of a Ronda Natalie Neidhart fucking feud, which I don't know if that's going to put any asses in seats, but maybe that's what they're. That's like a match that they would have instead of Charlotte versus Ronda, because most people think, and it could not happen, but most people think we're headed to WrestleMania, Charlotte versus Ronda main event at WrestleMania next year. First time ever women's main event. Maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. But you have to have Ronda do stuff beforehand. You have to have her fight Nia Jax. You have to have her fight Nikki Bella, Alexa Bliss. You know what I mean? Like, Ronda more or less is a full-time wrestler now, to her credit. So it's not like you're just going to zip her to Charlotte Flair for a one and done. So one of these kill time things is this long-term, Macho Man Hulk Hogan turn on your friend storyline with Natalie Neidhart and Ronda. The question is, will it pay off? I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a wrestling match. But I did find that pet cat insult. I kind of like that insult. I did want to say something. If you have anything about that, go ahead. But I had something more
I just want to say Ronda's been taking a lot of bumps lately. You know what I mean?
And she takes bumps good.
She does.
Well, I would say this, that Ronda was very vocal when she beat Alexa Bliss for the title, screaming out, "Ready." Do you remember that? And she said, "Ready." And then I think I heard a "Ready" tonight. I want to say with Foxy and Ronda or Natalie, somebody did "Ready." Did you think it was interesting that Natalie Neidhart or Natalia Neidhart tapped out?
Yeah.
Did you think that was just something to build up Alexa? Or, I mean, it seems out of character that Natalia would tap out, especially that she's from the Hart family dungeon, all this stuff. And here she is tapping. And the way that she sold that submission hold was god-awful. I mean, she looked like she was a squirmy bug getting squished by my uncle's shoe.
Well, here's the thing: you gotta, if Alexa's gonna have any chance to beat Ronda at the fucking Hell in the Cell in 2 weeks, they gotta make her look like she can beat anybody easily. And so making Natty tap is something that doesn't happen very often. So that builds her up a little bit, make her look a little bit tougher.
Okay, and let me ask you this: was it me or was the crowd? I mean, to me overall, and this is not fan shaming or crowd shaming, but maybe it is. The crowd overall seemed dead. They came alive when Alexa sucked up to a little bit, but it seemed like the crowd was really, especially dead for Ronda tonight. Did you notice that?
I will say this: that that's the lowest pop I've heard for anybody on a hometown come out. You know what I mean? Like, this is their home fucking town, and they barely pop for it. Like I said, the loudest the crowd was when Shawn Michaels and Undertaker were in the ring. So to me, that crowd, if that's not enough, the ratings going down wasn't enough for them to get their attention. All In selling out 10,000 tickets, making all kinds of fucking money. Not enough to get their attention to change. Maybe the crowd not even marking out and taking and trying to take over the show anymore will get their attention. But if none of those three things get their attention, why are they doing it?
Well, I want to say this, and this is the point that I was kind of holding off, but a lot of my videos have been going to this place, Cole, and I wanted to do the show with you tonight, and I love talking about wrestling, but at some point, for me personally, everybody, I'm getting to a point in my own life where I'm realizing how much time, money, effort, energy, mind power have I put into professional wrestling. It hasn't really done much for me in my life. And I just want to ask the wrestling fans out there that might be in their 20s or their 30s, think about the fact that becoming an older, jaded wrestling fan, it's not necessarily a pretty sight, to be very fucking honest with everybody.
Yep.
And if you're in the pro wrestling industry, whether it's Vince Russo, whether it's Dave Meltzer, whether it's Cody Rhodes, Vince McMahon, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and you're making a living and you're having fun, or you're Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, whoever, if it's your bread and butter to pay your bills, that's one thing. But if you're kind of like us with one toe in the ocean or on the outside looking in, and I've had a job interview for Titan Tower, Cole. I don't know if we've ever talked about that, but I've been in the fucking Titan Tower. So my point is, for a job interview, I wasn't hired, just to be clear. But the point is, I'm going to have to ask the wrestling fans to get real fucking hardcore right now. If watching 3 hours of Raw every Monday night, or most Monday nights, or zipping through the commercials, or YouTube clips, however you get your fix, and it's that age-old question that people kind of zip on each other all the time. If it sucks so bad, why do you watch it? And I think it's a gut check for myself and for other fans with WWE, and every week we lose more fans. I don't think there's weeks that, like, there's not been a big resurgence of fans for much of anything. Maybe Ronda brought some attention, some eyeballs. I think that the WWE, they got to get back to basics, folks. And the basic parameter in my book is that Monday Night Raw rating. And okay, if you want to count SmackDown ratings too. But when you talk about the fact that people have more viewing choices and all these excuses, but NFL still gets great ratings despite all their controversies. Game of Thrones still gets a lot of people watching.
See, I'm gonna start calling you the Segway Master, bro. That's your new nickname, the Segway Master. I was just getting ready to say the NFL hasn't even started yet. So when Monday Night Football comes out, which next week, I don't have my Jets hat on, but my New York Jets play the Lions next Monday night. Go Jets! Start of the season. But when that shit starts coming off, their ratings are gonna go down even fucking more. So it's like, what? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Right, and it's that's what I'm trying to say, everybody. But we as fans who hold on to this thing so dearly, and that's I do want to talk about All In, even though I haven't watched it. I made a personal choice to not watch All In Saturday night. People
Hey,
were insistent that I watch this. It stays cold, and I'm very much into building muscle and strength for my own physique right now. I'm not worried about body fat. I'm just trying to bulk the fuck up, trying to get big fucking muscles as much as I can with the frame that I have, which is a pretty big frame.
Hey, did you check out that Triple H book? He knows how to do it real quick.
Yeah, you just take a fucking... No. You know what? I remember Triple H's book. Guess what? I actually like Triple H as a character. I mean, I don't know if we get along, because if he watched any of my videos where I call out him and his family or the McMahons, he might be pissed. But as a wrestling persona, I mean, the 2000 era...
Hold on. Zapman said the Jets are going down, bro. No, bro. The Jets are not going down. The Jets are going to win by 7 points on Monday Night Football in Detroit. Sam Darnold's going to win Rookie of the Year, being the youngest quarterback to ever start in the NFL. Hey, but Zapman, send me a message. I'll have you on my sports podcast. You want to talk some football or something anytime, man. We do it once a week. So send me a message on Twitter, Facebook, or on here if you want. That'd be kind of cool. I like to talk shit. Are you a Lions fan, or are you just thinking the Jets are going to lose? Go ahead, sorry.
Zapman's on Twitter, and he gives me a lot of love on Twitter, so thanks, Zapman.
All right, cool. Yeah, then hit me up on Twitter, man. Let's work that shit out.
Baron Corbin. I want to talk about Constable Corbin. Constable, and I don't mean to cut you off, Cole, if you had anything else.
No, go ahead.
Baron Corbin is tall. He's a tall motherfucker, and I never realized how tall Baron Corbin was until tonight, when we saw him go nose-to-nose with Braun Strowman. And, you know, this JD from New York podcaster was so pissed off that they turned Braun Strowman heel last week, or whatever the fuck. And honestly, it's like, wait a minute, the one thing that the fans were kind of into, which was Braun Strowman as a babyface, possibly chasing a heel-led Roman Reigns, like, I actually thought we had something 2 weeks ago. I remember talking to you, Cole, and saying, oh my God, this is cool. If they let Roman be a heel and have, like, his 4 horsemen of the Shield as heels, and, like, Seth with the IC, Roman with the Universal, they're heel champions, and they get this loose cannon Ambrose, and maybe that's why he cut his hair and get all build up in his trapezius. But instead, they just turned the whole Shield from heel one night to babyface the next week, cram this fucking Braun Strowman as a heel down our throats by putting him with Ziggler and Drew McIntyre.
Hold on one
And
second.
it's kind of,
Keep that thought. I'm sorry, Zatman. Yeah, let's make that happen. I'll get you on before the game, and then I can get you on to talk shit to you after we whoop that ass. Since you're a Detroit fan, thank you for interacting with us tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Zatman, give us a please copy and paste that Twitch thing and just throw it up on Twitter real quick and say, and open up another window so you don't lose us, Zatman. But just give us a Twitch thing. Say, hey, if anyone's looking for a wrestling chat, jump in this thing. Just hang out with us. But the thing is, I'm trying to say is that I don't think that it's successful to try and force feed the Shield as babyface. Like, it's like they got cold feet. Like, they had a thing where, okay, let's make these guys heel, meaning the Shield. Then Roman Reigns' T-shirt sales went up for the week, and then they got chicken shit themselves and switched them back to the babyface. And then they got stuck with Braun as a fucking babyface, so they made him a heel, and it's just kind of shitty.
Yep.
But Baron Corbin, I do think he's improved as the Constable Corbin. I didn't get his whole thing. People were saying he's like Jake the Snake Roberts. I never thought he was like anywhere close to Jake the Snake Roberts. I didn't get the whole backwater fucking Baron Corbin. I do like Constable Corbin better. I do think that he's tall. I mean, I didn't realize how tall he was until he was nose to nose with Braun Strowman. I kind of like the B team, but they weren't meant to last, and
they weren't meant to be fucking anything. Let's just put it that way. They weren't meant to be shit, and they got over themselves, and they ran with it, and they made it happen.
Right, and I'm not a big guy for nepotism in pro wrestling. Like, I just don't blindly like people like even a Vince McMahon Jr. or a Cody Rhodes that had a famous father, but these two guys who really don't use their father's names, it's obviously Kurt Hennig's son, and it's obviously Mike Rotundo's son, Bo Dallas, and his partner there. But I like them. I like the B team, and it's too bad that they lost the tag belts. They were kind of sacrificial lambs. And I guess what you're doing now, or what they're doing, is there's two belts on the side of Drew. And,
what's up? What's Zatman's name on Twitter?
I don't. Dude, I'm making a point about big important issues with Dolph Ziggler.
Sorry, brother.
I don't know. I'll look it up real quick.
You're good.
As far as this whole thing with that, it's like they got two belts on each side now. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like gang warfare, and I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do like a Nation of Domination versus DX thing, where you got two sides. I'm looking up the Zapman, but let me keep going. His name is Drake Maverick. Maybe the most dangerous man in WWE right now. I think that's a direct quote from Corey Graves. Okay, here's the thing, folks. Okay, I have this whole big informative thing. And you talk about commentary, Cole. You talk about commentary and how important it is. Every time you watch wrestling, you want to have a commentator you know you can trust, and a commentator that's the color guy that's a little Weasley. For instance, you might have had Vince McMahon and Jesse Ventura, and you might have gone either way with those two. Like, you might think Vince McMahon's the shill, and this is like the 80s, but Jesse the Ventura is the guy that's going to tell you like it is. You might have had Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler, where Jerry Lawler is going to, shill for the bad guys and the puppies, but Jim Ross is going to tell you the straight dope. You know what I mean?
Yep.
These days, with this threesome tonight, we've established that Michael Cole's not very popular. Now, the unfortunate thing for you, Cole, is that Michael Cole is the head of all those commentators. Like, they all report to him. He's running the commentary ship.
And I was reading.
I don't know if you knew that.
I read an article last year saying that he was going to slowly step away and be backstage here in the near future. And I'm just patiently like, when the fuck is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? Obviously it was a false report because it still hasn't happened. It was over a year ago. But, I mean, the dude's been there for 20 years, so obviously he's good at being in the Vince McMahon kiss his ass club. And he follows the rules and does what he's supposed to do. But he's just so stale, man. So stale.
Right, but I think that it's like saying, well, Vince McMahon and the McMahons are going to step down from their on-screen time and let the wrestlers do their thing. And Michael Cole's going to step away from commentary and let other commentators do their job. Look, they never seem to step down now, do they?
No.
You know what I mean? So my point is this, that quite simply, you need a commentator you can trust, right? That's what helps get the show over. You needed one of those three or one of those two commentators right now when I thought we might have a chance with Renee. And I don't like Renee, but I thought we might have a chance that Renee could be our person we can trust. But she said something tonight that was an out-and-out lie. It killed her credibility for me. Do you want to guess what that is, Cole?
What was that?
She said, and I believe this is a quote, Nikki Bella is the most competitive person I've ever met.
Oh yeah, that goes right out. That credibility goes right out of the fucking window for me, for sure. And another thing, why are they completely ignoring the fact that she's married to Dean Ambrose? The whole world knows. Everybody knows. Why not just put it on air? You know, why not say something about it? Like one time, just mention it one time instead of just acting like they're not. Because you could play that in the commentary. Like when her husband's out there, she could act like more like emotional, like, oh, I can't watch this, or oh my God, what, you know, shit like that would help get it over even more. So why not do that?
And the thing is, Cole, they did that like 2.5 years ago with the Ambrose Miz feud. They did that.
Yeah.
Like on she slapped the Miz and Maurice slapped her, and I thought they were going to build up to a mixed tag, but I don't think they ever did. It was another WWE not following through. And I think that's one thing that always kind of pisses me off is that with WWE especially, and this happens in all wrestling groups, but WWE does it a lot, and I know that they have a lot of programming, but they'll start something, they won't finish it, and then they just don't take accountability for it.
Yep.
And this really goes back to the point, guys, and I know it's almost a counterintuitive point to make for a guy talking about wrestling and trying to share a conversation about wrestling, but at the same time, it's on my consciousness to share with everybody at some point, how much wrestling or how much WWE can we watch without feeling like we're wasting our fucking lives? And that's a very fucking hard-hitting comment to make, but I just made it. Like, if you're a WWE fan and it gives you escapism and it gives you a thing to do, I mean, I've got 500 movies at home and I've got 500 wrestling DVDs, and I've probably watched about a third of that stuff. Like, there's more stuff to do than I have in my lifetime to do it. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So it's not to get too deep, but sometimes I just feel the need to pepper that in there because as I'm going through these notes that I took, and I did take fucking notes, I feel like, honestly, is it worth it? Is it worth watching this stuff if they don't take care of their product? If Roman Reigns can't make himself run 2 steps to get backstage instead of walking politely, why am I watching him do that? Here's another thing that I caught that I wrote in my fucking notes. Bobby Roode, when he came out on the stage for his big tag team match, I noticed that 2 stagehands were scurrying to get off camera.
Yes, I did see that.
Right.
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's fine. It's fine. It's just I'm glad we both saw it because it's like, and that's a thing where. That's what makes me think, and I'm not trying to spread controversies or bullshit, but I heard this before that Vince may not be doing so well. That attention to detail, and maybe you can call this episode constructive criticism or the truth is in the details, you know, something like that for this subtitle of the show. But when you kind of lose focus, those little things happen a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there you have it. Let me keep going through these notes, man.
Well, I'm on Twitter right now. And it's WWE posted this. The Shield is being absolutely demolished on Raw. Why? Well, why? Because they demolished the roster earlier in the fucking show. And why are they showing? Why did the car that they got taken to jail in back into where the ring is at the end of the show?
Good point, and a great point. And it's like if people are pointing out these inconsistencies. You know, and I've done so many videos in the last year and a half, and I do feel, Cole, that a lot of this journey of me being online and talking about wrestling is kind of a therapeutic thing for myself, and maybe some of the people that are watching, like, is it time for some of us or a lot of us to reduce our WWE intake, and that might sound like a joke or something silly, but some people might be getting this. It might be clicking with them now, which is, okay, hold on a second. There's only so many hours a day. If we're putting 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours into wrestling, especially WWE, and they're treating us like idiots, they don't have care of their product, they have all these inconsistencies. They're just churning out programming. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I mean, you can go back 20 years, Cole, and see Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara talk about the amount of pressure they had doing 1 2-hour show of Raw a week. One show. And then they got handed SmackDown. They thought they had it all under control, and then they got handed SmackDown, and they didn't get any pay raise. And they're like, holy shit, now we got to do another show for you assholes? And that's when, more or less, Vince McMahon and Ed Ferrara left. Well, now, we're not even the writers for the show. We're the fans. And we are expected to try to make sense of this stuff because they're not making sense of it for us. And my feeling is that there's something about pro wrestling. We watch it. We start watching it when we're very young. You probably started watching wrestling when you're 5 or 6, Cole.
Yes, sir.
And we all get hooked. We get hooked like sugar and corn syrup. I want to challenge everybody right now. Try to go tomorrow without sugar or corn syrup in any food that you eat. Guess what? Your body doesn't want corn syrup or sugar, but we all just eat it because that's what's there. That's what's available. WWE is the sugar and corn syrup of professional wrestling. We're all hooked to it. We're all addicted to it. We can't get away from it, and we bitch about it. But unless, we start finding substitutions and consider All In a NutraSweet or MLW or New Japan, or guess what? Non-wrestling stuff, whether it's mixed martial arts or Muay Thai competitions. There's a Muay Thai thing coming to Foxwoods I'm going to go to in the press section next month. And, there's all types of things that we can get into to give us that adrenaline rush, but also you can go to the gym and lift weights. You can play a basketball league. You can read a book. And I'm not trying to piss on pro wrestling because I'm the guy sitting here with the Diamond Dallas Page action figure right next to me. But I'm just saying, if they're going to treat us like fucking inbreds and idiots and don't give us good wrestling, we have to start taking our own lives into accountability and ask, when do we say enough is enough and we have to change the fucking channel?
Exactly. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, all Raw should have been tonight was the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels segment, and then we should have just called it a night.
Well, that's okay. See, here's the thing. In theory, that sounds great to say that. Meaning, and I know what you're saying. I'm not picking on you, but you're saying that was the only thing really worth watching. I get that's what you're saying. And I will say this: I thought Shawn fucked his way through. Once Undertaker came out, you had that heat. You had that history, that passion, and the big question, the big asterisk is Shawn going to come back and wrestle one more match? This would kind of lead us to that direction. We would hope so, and I guess tomorrow on all my fucking Twitter feeds and all the Yahoo feeds and Forbes and everyone else, is Shawn Michaels making a comeback? And the answer is, who cares? I mean, hopefully he does. Just give us one more match, but at the same time... What if he comes back and retires The Undertaker at WrestleMania 35? Well, guess what? Didn't Roman Reigns already retire Roman Reigns a couple of years ago at WrestleMania?
Apparently not, but I'm saying, it's 10 years to the day where he retired Ric Flair. That'd be the thing that would happen. He would come out and fucking end The Undertaker. A retirement match. The loser can never wrestle again, and I bet you The Undertaker loses.
Well, here's the thing. Undertaker's kind of already, left his gloves and his hat in the ring, so...
Yeah, but obviously that didn't mean nothing because the dude's still competing. He just showed up on Raw tonight.
Well, right, it just becomes an absurdist thing, die harder, or, die hard, really die this time. Would you die for Christ's sake? I mean, how many times is this guy going to stop wrestling? But in any event, I'm glad you liked the promo. I did too. David Gear, Tommy DiNucci, film friends of mine, wrestling friends of mine, I let them know that was happening. They were very excited about it. Because, look, we all kind of pop for those guys. There's 6 guys from that era. Steve Austin, Mick Foley, Triple H, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few guys.
It was good to
That's
see.
like your,
It was good to see Steve Austin tonight, though.
well, it was good to see. On that little Legends clip.
Yep.
You know, well, the thing with that is, I'm just put a little tweet out there for everybody. That was good, but it's also a thing where, didn't we have a John Cena Triple H match in South Africa that sucked?
Yep.
I mean, wasn't that supposed to be a big fucking thing? And it was like the curtain jerker, like the first match of the show.
Did you see his?
It wasn't very good.
Did you see his new special move that looks fucking retarded? Like he just bitch slapped somebody after a little dance with his hands.
Yeah, I saw that on a little YouTube clip for we're talking about John Cena. Like he's doing a maneuver that's like a back fist, and I don't know. I mean, is it supposed to be good? Are we supposed to enjoy that?
He should just go ahead and stick with the FU or whatever the fuck it's called, the attitude adjustment or whatever the fuck it's called nowadays. But so we had a plan to get to All In and talk about All In, but we're gonna go ahead and save that. We're gonna keep going here for a little bit longer, but we're gonna save the rest of our All In discussions for our next episode, which I'm gonna be in Texas for 3 weeks coming up for work. So there'll probably be a lot of what have they done to our sports content coming out here in the next couple weeks. And on top of that, my NFL review show's coming out next week. Mikey's dropping videos daily on his YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel, Mikey?
It should just be Mikey Messier or Mike Messier on YouTube. Just put Mike. Go to YouTube, put Mike Messier, and you'll see me. I do wanna thank Damon Campagna, who's a guy from the art world, believe it or not. Of my many interests, Cole. Damon was a guy I met through the art world at a place, the Warwick Art Museum, way back when. And Damon suggested I get a better microphone a couple of months ago. And also, to give credit to Kenny Bolin, your buddy, I did send him an email. He does have some really good microphones, but I was just kind of in a thing where I needed to get one really quick, and this is what I got.
Yep.
But I do know that Kenny's got some good stuff. So if people are looking to do podcasts, hopefully this microphone's going to work out. I don't know if Zapman or somebody could send us a note to let us know if it's doing well by them tonight. What I've got on right now, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at myself. I'm getting very existential because now if I turn this phone to look at myself, will the world explode? If we see me looking at me, is the world exploding? Is that like the fucking parallel universe?
Right, it's crazy, right?
Oh my God! Now I've seen that on delay, and it's really freaking me out. Okay, but for the all-in thing, guys, if you want to see my weekend of confusion or my weekend of angst when it came to All In, obviously I had a lot of mixed feelings about that show because, Cody Rhodes took some issues with our buddy Vince Russo that I thought were greatly unfair. Basically, he months ago said that Vince Russo had made some statements that were homophobic in nature. Later on, Cody claims that he apologized, but I never really saw his apology. It was kind of weird. It was kind of like a Jedi mind trick by Cody. And then apparently the Briscoe brothers, who were on that show, apparently they used like the gay pride flag as a weapon in a match, and maybe one of them had some anti-gay tweets years ago or some such nonsense or some such thing that kind of once again leads me to that hypocrisy. People are wondering, Mike, why can't you just suck it up and watch All In? And I said, sometimes you got to take a stand. And even if that means being left out of something that's very special for a lot of people, I'm going to have to sit this one out. And maybe, people are kind of insistent. My friend D.G. Haven, Pro Wrestling Manager, is insistent that I watch this show, and I might have to. But honestly, some of the clips that I saw of Joey Ryan and the Ghost Dicks and other reports of, kind of Jay Lethal's title defense breaking into a Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan impersonation right in the middle of the match. My friend Tommy DiNucci pointed that out, saying, why would these two guys who are fighting for a championship, and he didn't even know they were fighting for a championship, Jay Lethal and his opponent, and I guess it was Flip, and I said, I don't know, man. I mean, if they're actually fighting for a title, the Ring of Honor, if it's supposed to be the ROH of Honor championship, and 2/3 of the way through the match, they break into a Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage impersonation, you've just made your world championship a gimmick match.
Yep.
And I don't know why a wrestling fan has to point out to the fucking wrestlers basic psychology and respect for wrestling. And that's what leads me to be all out. And that's what leads to me to be very cynical about the state of wrestling. And I just don't know how else to explain it. If a fan sitting in the catbird seat can point out, hey guys, when you disrespect your supposed world championship match and make it a gimmick match, you're actually degrading your entire show. And when your gimmicks go so far as to have ghost dicks like Joey Ryan, then yes, that does affect some people's enjoyment of the entire show. But I think that's why I call these guys parody wrestlers. And maybe some people don't appreciate that, and some people do. I don't know what the fuck to say anymore.
Speaking of that, how wrestling should be, how they don't respect the business. What about Kevin Owens doing a super kick right out of the corner with Shawn Michaels in the arena?
You know what, man? That's a good point. And also, why is Kevin Owens... I mean, some fans pointed that out tonight on Twitter. I don't know who, probably a bunch of people. But how come Kevin Owens is back after a grand total of 1 week out?
Right. Why not drag that out a little bit longer? Have him show up at the pay-per-fucking-view. I don't know. What else? Anything else specific you want to talk about Raw tonight?
Well, I mean, the final melee. Let me look at my. I mean, God, I took actual notes for Christ's sake. I mean, those are actual handwritten notes. Let me go through these judicious notes of Raw.
Because I still want to talk about the Nike deal with Kaepernick because I got some things to say about that. But we're at the hour and 20-minute mark, so.
Go do the Kaepernick thing. Go ahead.
All right. I want to give a shout out to Nike for doing that because that dude deserves to fucking not be completely taken out of his income. I already see pictures of people cutting Nikes off their shoes and cutting this Nike symbol off their socks. Hey, dumb fucks, you already paid them the money. Why would you ruin your fucking shoes? Why would you ruin your socks? Why would you ruin your shorts? You don't like Nike no more? Then don't fucking shop there. You cutting a Nike emblem off your shoe just makes you look like an idiot. And what the fuck does it matter that he's got a line coming out at Nike? He didn't do nothing wrong. He ain't out here fucking grabbing people by the pussy, raping people, none of that shit. He did what he was supposed to do, his Second Amendment right, and fucking protest. You don't like when he protests? Well, get the fuck over it. Or First Amendment, I'm sorry, not Second Amendment. That's a completely different argument. But get the fuck over it. It is what it is. The dude did something that started a movement that draw attention to something that needed to have attention on it. And now he's finally, instead of being blackballed from the NFL like he is, that's why his lawsuit went to trial instead of the NFL trying to settle out. And the judge was like, no, fuck you. We're going to trial. And he's going to win that lawsuit. And the NFL is going to have to pay him a lot of fucking money. And then now Nike said he's signed a deal like he's a star, like he's a big star. He's going to have his own shoes, his own jerseys, his own cleats, his own clothes, his own clothing line. And he deserves it. So mad respect to Nike for sticking by that dude's side and giving him a chance.
Okay. Well, I like your take on it. What I would say is this, and I try to say that, wouldn't it be great if they did a Nike ad where they kind of reenact when Kaepernick first, took a knee, which is going on like two and a half years ago or whatever it was. Like, I think it was the preseason 2 years ago.
Yep.
And they do a reenactment of his very first time doing that. And they show like Cap on his knee, and they show the national anthem playing, and then a teammate comes over and says, "Hey Cap, man, you were on your knee during the national anthem." And Cap's like, "Yeah, man, I was just lacing up my new Nikes." Yeah. And they pan down, and they show like Kaepernick lacing up his Nikes, and he's all beaming with pride because he's like, my Nikes are rad, man. My Nikes are badass. Why didn't you stand for the anthem? And he's like, "Oh, I had my earbuds in. I was listening to some, Dr. Dre or some Mike Messier, Cole Sharp podcasts in the future with time travel because of Project Pegasus."
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That would be fucking awesome. But I don't think Nike would ever do that shit. They already fucking pushed their buttons. I guess they're projected to lose like $200 million over this deal, but I don't see that happening. Nike's not going anywhere.
Well, I was in a store last week, and I got some Nikes, because it's hard for me to find my shoe size. I found a size 14 Nike. This was about 2 weeks ago. I bought them. I'm not going to chop them up, and I'll say why. A, if people are so outraged about Kaepernick and Nike, guess what? Stop watching the NFL, because how many players what, 15, 20, 25% of the players at one point or another did some type of protest.
Yep.
Jerry Jones of the Cowboys got on a knee. I did watch that NFL show on Amazon Prime about the Cowboys. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yep.
But they didn't really get into the protest thing, which they could have. I think it's fascinating. I think that one quick solution to that is to just not play the national anthem. And I'm a proud American too, but the movie theater used to play the national anthem, and they don't do that anymore. So why even play the national anthem if you're going to cause a ruckus? Just don't play it.
Yep. Well, did you see ESPN's not going to air the national anthem on Monday Night Football anymore, so I think that's the best bet to go about it.
And I think it's a thing where it's a touchy subject because in no way do I want to disrespect the flag or the country or the patriots or the military or the police or anybody, but my thing is, if it's going to hurt people, to have people on a knee, if it's going to be divisive, then isn't it better to not play the anthem and let this thing ride out and then figure it out later? But it's a tough one, man. Look at these. I just want to share with you guys. I've been working out. I've been training in a different method. And does that look good to you?
Yeah.
Oh, is that a big arm or what?
Is that your arm or Hulk's arm?
That's my arm.
Oh, okay. All right. I just didn't know if those were the pythons or not.
Well, that's steroid-free shit. I mean, like, and I'm not joking around. I take these protein drinks. I'm taking plant protein, not even fucking meat protein, but I eat seafood now. I don't eat red meat or chicken or pork. I just eat seafood. Pescatarian. And I'm telling you people that I'm probably in the best shape of my life because I've changed my diet, and now I'm concentrating on lifting heavier weights. For several years, I was trying to lose weight, which I lost some, but now I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to be a big, scary dude. Because I might have to step back into the ring and teach these motherfuckers what's up.
Yes, sir. All right.
I mean, I'm telling you, did you see my challenge to fucking Cody Rhodes, Cole?
Yep, I sure did. But I don't really want to talk too much about NWA or the NWA World's title or any of that because I want to save that for our next episode because our next episode is going to be in the middle of the week and there's not going to be much to talk about. So I want to talk about because that'll give me time on my road trip tomorrow. I'm gonna go back and look at all the shit for All In and take some notes on All In so we can talk about All In because there was some good things that happened at All In that I was really happy about. There's also some dumbass shit like you brought up about the dicks and I don't want to get you going on that because I don't want you to disappear before we have the chance to talk about All In, because I know how you feel about the dicks in wrestling. So, I want to give a shout out to all the people on Twitch that watch us. We are not done yet. We're going to keep going for a couple more minutes because I got a couple more things to say. But I'm going to stop this stream. Everybody come out, check out my YouTube page, Cole Sports Corner Podcast on YouTube. I'm on Apple, Spotify, Podbean, Google Play, everywhere. Just type in Cole Sharf and it'll pop up the picture of me and Mick Foley. That's my picture I use for everything. Thank you for the support. Tell your friends about us. Tell your mom about us. Tell your dad about us. Share it. Hit the like button. Comment. Interact. I like the interaction. This is the most interaction we've ever had tonight, and I really appreciate it. It makes the show fun. Get you guys involved. Talk about different shit off the wall. So I really appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thanks, everybody who watched. I really, really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. All right, we're still going on our show, though. Again, thanks everybody on Twitch. But what were you saying? Go ahead, Mike. I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just I gotta tease him. I gotta tease him.
Pescatarian diet, in case anyone's wondering. Look, I know that I'm not in Arnold Schwarzenegger shape or anything, but people don't really know what I've been through the last couple of years. But if people go to MikeMessier.com and go to the blog, they can watch that 1-hour interview with me and Vince Russo. I talk about the medications, and honestly, Cole, I grew up in a situation. I know you've got some kids that you're raising, your family, your children. And honestly, I just want to say that diet is something that if I could give you any advice for you and your family, just make sure that your kids eat well. And what I mean by that is your kids this is not to personalize to you, but anybody who raises kids, you can't just feed them, McNuggets and pizza and high sodium Chinese food and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, because the problem is, like, people think of that stuff as kids' food. Like, oh, we can just feed the kids anything, or that's what they like, or that's what's cheap, and I get all that. The problem is when the kid grows up, like all these Americans that are obese, like myself and a lot of other people, it's hard to break those fucking patterns.
Yep.
Once you're heavy, once you're fat, once you're obese, overweight, I think it's like 60% of the country is overweight, the American population, and this is real deal shit. Talking about diabetes, talking about quality of life, your health, walking up a flight of stairs. Once you're obese as a child, it's really hard to break that. And I think the problem, Cole, is a lot of parents, because of monetary concerns and convenience, and it's just quicker, and you give the kids what they want, so they shut the fuck up. You take them to McDonald's, you put a quarter pounder in their mouth, you put some fries in their face, a shake, you buy a 2-liter bottle of Coke, and guess what happens? The kid grows up to be a teenager. Now, when you're a teenager and you're getting bigger, you just eat whatever the fuck you want, and you burn it off, right?
Yep.
But those eating habits are cemented. Then you get to college, and now suddenly you're drinking alcohol. Suddenly you're smoking a joint. Suddenly you're getting drunk, and you put on all those calories. Next thing you know, you're fucking fat like everybody else. So, and then suddenly you're in your 20s, your mid-20s, your 30s, and now you want to lose weight. Cole, I go to a place near me that's like a health food store, right? It's like a Whole Foods market type of place.
Yep.
And I see these senior citizens in this store all the time, just going nuts, looking for the latest and the greatest supplement, or the latest and greatest nutrient, or fruit, or something that they think is going to be healthy. But these people are like arched over from bad posture. They're in bad shape. They're overweight. And these senior citizens, that's when people want to get healthy, when they're 60 or when they're 70. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're 60 or 70 and you're listening to me, and don't take that as an insult, but if you're 40, if you're 50, if you're 30, if you're 15, and you're watching me and you're seeing, like, I'm being very fucking honest. If you have bad eating habits as a child because of your parents, two things. The parents need to fucking wake up and realize they've got to get the healthiest possible food in that house. No SpaghettiOs with the high sodium, no fruit punch, no Coca-Cola, all that shit is going to hit the fucking floor, and the kids might be pissed for a while. But you need to raise your kids above the average. I have a female friend who's got kids, and I asked her about this stuff, and she says, well, my kids eat like every other kid. And I said, well, that's the problem. Your kids are eating like every other kid, and every other kid's eating like shit too.
Yep.
So people have to go above and beyond. And that takes, it takes more planning, and it takes more money, unfortunately. I don't have the answers. There was a book, The $4 a Day Vegan Diet, and there's other books that people can get. I mean, there's people online that they can find. You don't have to go broke eating well, but I'm just trying to be honest and say that once you've established poor eating habits, especially as wrestling fans, where half of our lives are sitting on a couch watching people wrestle, we need to just fucking look out for ourselves.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. And I try. I mean, don't get me wrong. My kids get their kids' meals, but at the most part, they're eating, because we eat pretty healthy for the most part. So they eat what we eat. But every once in a while, I'll let them get a kid's meal here and there and shit like that. But that's every kid. But they don't live off that shit. They eat chicken. They eat fucking, a lot. My one son loves seafood. And me and him eat a lot of seafood. So.
Well, like I said, I've been on this pescatarian diet, which I just kind of made up for myself, and I find that I'm so far removed from red meat and chicken and pork that it doesn't occur to me to have it. What occurs to me is, man, sometimes it's hard to find something to eat at a particular restaurant, and usually the de facto thing is a tuna fish sandwich or eggplant, if I really find myself in a jam. But honestly, Cole, and New England's good for seafood. We have scallops and all types of good stuff. But I'm telling you, man, if you guys look into the way that the food is made, and this is nothing new, this is nothing mind-blowing, but if you look into certain movies like Forks Over Knives and Food Inc., they'll tell you what the fuck is up. And the new thing, Cole, is clean meat, which is meat that's going to be processed in a lab that's like... basically like kind of like genetic cloning of meat. Pretty soon, meat eaters are going to be eating meat that's designed from laboratory reproductions of animal cells. It's not even going to be from a slaughterhouse. So that's going to change the game there too.
Yep.
So look into that. Clean meat. I'm not making this stuff up.
I'll check it out. So overall, Raw gave us some things that were like, oh shit, we might be going in the right directions, and they shit on it. And then they had the Undertaker HBK segment that was all right.
But bro, when was Hell in a Cell?
2 weeks, but I think this week
No,
coming.
when was the original Hell in the Cell?
I have no idea.
It was on I want to say October 5th, 1997, which was the same night that Brian Pillman was discovered dead. And that's when Shawn Michaels and Undertaker had the first ever Hell in a Cell match. That was October of 1997. We're in August of 2018, and the same two guys from over 20 years ago, over 20 fucking years ago, are what people are going to be talking about tomorrow. And that's not, to me, that's not against the talent. It's against how that talent is being used in the WWE.
Yep.
And that's my opinion, but I mean, I'm sorry. With all, and a guy named Chris Old, who's in these Facebook groups, the wrestling fans, he always busts my balls. And about 3 or 4 months ago, Chris made a statement that he was just after an NXT show, a takeover show, and Chris said that the talent roster of NXT and WWE was the best wrestling talent roster for any group ever. And I kind of took issue with that, and Chris listed all the wrestlers, from NXT all the way up, the Aleister Blacks, every single wrestler he could think of that he thought was good. And I took some issue with it because I was really thinking about star quality or top 10, not the entire roster. But honestly, I think Chris has got a point, and my point on top of his is, with all this talent that they've brought in, all these guys and women, can't they be doing something better? And if they can't, if they're not capable, or if they're not open-minded to hire a Mike Messier, who had a job interview for WWE, then what have they done to our sport?
Yep.
What the fuck have they done that they're so far gone that they can't make something happen with a Bobby Lashley, give him a mouthpiece? I mean, we thought of it tonight. Put Paul Heyman with them.
Yep.
Another show I've been doing, Generating Heat, our buddy, helped me out when I had my sabbatical into Dreamland. JG's been very, very, very interesting with his approaches to world events. So Generating Heat's got some interesting stuff. And also, I started a kind of a nostalgia show on the Action Radio Network with producer Bob. We know that unfortunately my friend passed away, Cole. Brian Danovich died. I mean, that's legitimate. That's a shoot. And Brian, I still can't believe he's gone, but he died. And his show was Wrestling with Passion. I took over his show and renamed it The Foreign Object, The Pro Wrestling Experience with Mike Messier. The first episode was about the Baltimore Arena. The second episode was my life as a Ric Flair fan. And I'm thinking for my third episode, it's either going to be experience.
You gotta do one about like the stars of today, like Kevin Owens or something like that. I mean, because they're just so big and bad that they just, you know what I mean? They got the star level of Ric Flair and shit, right?
Well, I met Kevin Owens. I saw him at a show called Beyond Wrestling. I bought a T-shirt from Kevin Owens. He's a hell of a nice guy. And Kevin Owens was really great on the independent scene, man. So Kevin Owens, I could do a show about, I went to some Ring of Honor shows in Philadelphia. I took bus trips from Rhode Island to Philly, like 14 smart marks packed into a van, taking a bus trip in 2002 to some hot as fuck Philadelphia, like VFW or something. And it was crazy. And I saw like a Paul London versus Michael Shane ladder match. And nobody, man, would know. I mean, Ring of Honor, its first couple of years, I went to their tag team title tournament. I saw, I think it was Christopher Daniels win the tag team title. And they had a singles title change on that show as well. Xavier lost the title to somebody. So I've been around the block, man.
All right, yep. You want to fucking talk about anything else?
Jeez. I saw a really good Paul Jones versus Harley Race match on DVD this week. So just that old school stuff. Harley Race was actually like selling to Paul Jones as if it was Ric Flair selling to Goldberg in 1998. I mean, Harley Race was trying to make Paul Jones look like a great, tough wrestler. Paul Jones passed away this past year. but this is the Mid-Atlantic territory. I've been watching some DVDs of old house shows from the Mid-Atlantic area. I saw a great Ricky Steamboat versus Sweet Hansen match from like Mid-Atlantic Television. And I listened to a podcast. I want to give a shout out to When It Ended, which is Robbie E.
And Matt Coon. Yeah, and Matt Coon, yep.
Right. And they had...
Why It Ended.
Why It Ended, thank you. Why It Ended. I listened to their pilot episode, and it actually had, I don't know if you remember her, but Cherry from Deuce and Domino. Do you remember Cherry?
No, I do not. I remember Deuce and Domino, though. Oh, wait, yes, now I do remember her. Yep.
She was the blonde. She was the girl. It was kind of interesting, but kind of not. I guess I would put it that way. Like, it wasn't... She was such a baby face. Like, she was really trying to be positive. But honestly, she was talking about how they gave her a hard time about her weight, and she was 127 pounds, and by most accounts, gorgeous.
Fuck yeah.
But she just had a slightly different frame than, say, a Maurice or Maria Kanellis at the time. Like, she was just a little thicker, so to speak. But, I mean, to tell you the truth, she was very attractive, and it was just too bad that she kind of got kicked out of there, you know what I mean?
Speaking, I made it all the way till an hour and 40 minutes in before my third yawn. So I'm fucking breaking records. Normally I've yawned 15 times by now. So that's weird. That's what I mean. But do you watch The Miz and Maurice's show?
I watched before tonight. I'd seen the first two or three episodes.
I will say this. It's better than Total Bellas, and it's more realistic. Like, you can tell it's somewhat scripted, but it's not as scripted and, like, fake as it normally is. Like, I like it. As far as reality TV shows that the WWE's done and been a part of, I really like it, and I think it's the best one they've done. But here's my question. Why would you air a show to compete directly with something you have on the network? 205 Live airs right after SmackDown on the network. Miz and Maurice airs it right after SmackDown on USA. What do you think people are going to watch? Well, they don't have to change the channel. They don't have to turn their TV over to Smart TV. They don't have to, come to their laptop to get to the WWE network. They can just leave their TV right there and the Miz and Maurice is on right now. So why would you compete with yourself like that right away, like blatantly? It doesn't make any sense to me.
That's a great question, and all I can say is that the WWE, I guess it's a bounty of riches. When you have such quality, programming, you could choose between WWE and WWE. I mean, for whatever reason, it reminds me of back in the day when they would have, like, Sunday Night Heat before a pay-per-view on a Sunday night, and then you'd have, like, the free show. And if your fucking friend or whatever venue would put the free show on, like the pay-per-view channel on before the end of Sunday Night Heat, you'd miss the Sunday Night Heat match going into the pay-per-view.
Yep.
And I remember going to a place that had I used to see wrestling pay-per-views around 2002 on the movie theater screen. This movie theater would have the WWE pay-per-views in the movie theater. And I remember this time that this kid was complaining because they had Rey Mysterio on Sunday Night Heat in the match before the pay-per-view. And then the guy changed the channel to the pay-per-view station because he didn't want to miss the pay-per-view for the movie theater. And this poor kid who was like Spanish, he really wanted to see Rey Mysterio. And he was almost crying because the guy turned the channel on him. And I actually wrote an email. And I said, hey, you broke this little fucker's heart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can never win.
You got 7 days a week, so if the Miz and Maurice are going to be on a national cable television channel on Tuesday, switch 205 Live to fucking Wednesday. It doesn't have to be live, you know what I mean? I know it's in the day, but it's just like fucking record it on Tuesday, put it on the network on Wednesday, or do it before SmackDown. You know what I mean? Raw's 3 hours anyways. Why not do 205 Live before SmackDown? Have SmackDown end at 9. It's just there's so many ways around these stupid ass fucking things that we've pointed out in this episode. You know what I mean? Like being lazy with the Shawn Michaels hair. The dude's running off the ring when you're fucking got your main star on, coming out. You got two employees running behind the Megatron thing or whatever the fuck it's called. It's just so simple solutions to fix these problems. It just goes to show that they're so fucking lazy. And you might be onto something with maybe they don't have someone running the ship right now. Vince McMahon's in charge, but is he really in charge?
Is he getting sick and old? And I hate to say it, but I wonder what DDP has to say about it.
Hey, DDP.
Here comes the diamond cutter.
Well, I don't. Where, well, I understand what you're saying. Okay, now you're just repeating yourself.
He hit a fucking pretty sick diamond cutter at All In, but we'll get more into that on our next episode. So I think we're going to wrap it up with that, guys. We've been talking for an hour and 43 minutes. This is something for you guys to listen to at your first day back to work. Happy Labor Day to everybody out there that's hard working, that just deserved a day off, which is pretty much everybody in America, because life's a fucking hard work job every single day. So, happy Labor Day. It's time to get back to work tomorrow. Give this a listen. Tell your friends and family about it. Go back and listen to our old episodes. We got some interviews on there. Some more interviews coming up. I appreciate it. I want to thank you, Mikey, for always always being down and ready to record an episode on the spur of the moment. You're the man, and we always always have fun. We get better and better every episode. You're the Segway Master. That's your new nickname. I'm going to change your contact in my phone to the Segway Master right now. I'm not even kidding, because you said the best perfect segues every fucking episode. You can find all of our previous shows on Cole's Sports Corner podcast, on Russo Brand Family's YouTube page as well, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, everything. Anybody want to sponsor us? Looking for sponsors. The more sponsors, the better. The more content we can give. I'll be coming to you live from Texas for the next 3 weeks, so I'll try and have different scenes, different scenery for you guys, but it all depends on where I can get Wi-Fi, because I got to have Wi-Fi to stream. And I appreciate it. Thank you. We're growing. The interaction on Twitch tonight was amazing. Awesome. The most interaction we had, the most views we've had, so that means we're growing. Like, I'll tell you this, if my numbers drastically changed on this show, I would either change what I'm doing or stop doing it, unlike the WWE, and just not give a shit. So I'll put it to you that way. If we're not doing something you like, let us know and we'll fix it. If there's something you want us to do, let us know and we'll fix it. And hey, if you're a wrestling fan, we'll get you on here for a couple minutes 1 week. Get your fucking opinion heard. Get your name out there. So let us know. Get a hold of me or Mikey. Got anything else? Oh, we got the fucking Ultimate Warrior now making an appearance.
Pretty badass Ultimate Warrior figure, isn't it?
It is. It sure is. I like that belt.
Well, yeah, man. You know what? I met the Ultimate Warrior, and one day we'll have to do an episode where we just talk about interactions with wrestlers we've met. Well, Ultimate Warrior for me was a big meet, but I know we're wrapping things up. And MikeMessier.com for any filmmakers out there. Check out Distance from Avalon.com, and Mike Messier, my Vince Russo interviews on YouTube now, thanks to Jeff Lane and Vince Russo for allowing me to share that. Very important topic. And Mike Messier, Vimeo, YouTube. I'm an easy guy to find, hard to forget. And just want to say thanks to Cole for having me on the show. Had a great episode. And most importantly, thanks to the viewers for helping us with this audio. I get this new headset. Hopefully I'll have it mastered by the next time we do the show. So thanks everybody. We'll catch you next time.
I really hope you enjoyed that last episode like I did. Always good content here at Jets Fan Cole Twitch page. Get the word out there. Tell people about it. Share, like. I'm going to have more platforms. I'll keep people updated on that. Look out for the next episode presented to you by Jets Fan Cole Twitch page. Thank you. Again, I hope you enjoyed.